Welcome to the High at 9 News Hour, where you will hear from cannabis industry experts and professionals from around the country talk about important topics while shining light on global issues and discussing cannabis as it relates to politics, regulation and reform, data and technology, science, research and medicine, family and parenting, art, celebrities and entertainment, fitness, sports, mental health and wellness, and plant-based medicines and entheogens. Together, we are building a stronger community, fighting the stigma and creating change. With your hosts, Jason Beck and Rico Lamitte, joined by special industry expert correspondents from around the country, and daily antics brought to you by Cannabis. Coming to you live every Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific Time and high noon on the East Coast. And thank you all for getting high at 9 with us. Oh, yeah. Good morning, everybody. Hope everyone is having an amazing day. That's right. It's Monday, April 24th, and today is National Bucket List Day, as well as National Pigs in a Blanket Day. So, you know, Gretchen's probably going to make some of those and probably dress her dogs up too. But thank you all for joining us and getting high at 9 with us. It's also high noon on the East Coast. And please remember to like, share, and subscribe to us on all social media platforms. You can find that fancy little QR code right there in the top hand corner of your screen to find out where we live on the internet. And we're live every Monday through Friday on YouTube and audio only on Clubhouse. And if you are joining us in Clubhouse, you can also participate in the show by raising your hand if you have a comment on the story most recently presented. But we're going to kick this thing off with the dope dad himself. That's right. It's Rico Lamitte, who looks like he is a little bit more settled in to his spacious abode. That's right. Are you all settled in, Rico? Are you ready to go?
Sure.
All right. Well, it is the dope dad himself, Rico Lamitte.
Oh, man. I appreciate that, Jason. And my story is actually coming out of great state, New York. So it looks like New York State Governor Kathy Hochul's proposed crackdowns on trappers. It has the streets cracking up. The Empire State's industry seemed to be finally hitting its stride with announcement of 99 new retail licenses activated just last week. And the positive news came after Hochul's announced plans to put the kibosh on illegal operators. The legal experts are calling BS, labeling the proposal as lip service, more meant to silencing media critics rather than solving the actual problems at hand, with loopholes making enforcement a lot easier said than done. Hochul's new legislation proposes penalizing illegal operators up to $10,000 per day for operating without a license, and stores selling illegal product from illegal out-of-state product up to $200,000. But Paula Collins, a lawyer who's represented illicit owners, told the Post, the New York Post, where the story came from, most trap shops are cash businesses owned through LLCs and corporations without bank accounts, making enforcement nearly impossible. Here's what she said. They say we're going to put up this tax lien on you. How are you gonna collect that? There's nothing to even seize here. She actually claimed NYC Mayor Eric Adams previously estimated 1,500 trap shops total is actually closer to 5,000, averaging about 2,000 to 3,000 in profit per day. And she said that owners are increasingly converting their LLCs to corporations, since corporations do not carry any personal liability after they dissolve, effectively neutering Hochul's clampdown out the gate. When Hochul says she wants a $10,000 fine, I giggle. That's what she said. And while the crackdown would grant the state authority to physically padlock illegal shop doors and authorize warrantless searches of businesses and vehicles and seizure of suspected illegal product, the Office of Cannabis Management, OCM, currently 150 workers strong, is the only available vehicle to carry out that mission alongside the Department of Taxation and Finance. Good luck. Per the article, with currently just 4 legally licensed smoke shops in the city of nearly 9 million people, among 165 statewide. Hochul's critics say that she is not issuing licenses fast enough to give legal operators a fighting chance here. A November report co-authored by the New York Medical Cannabis Industry Association blasted Hochul and the OCM, calling their toothless trap house enforcement policies an illegal product coming in mainly from California and an immense consumer risk. Many of these locations falsely advertise the sale of THC products as legal or licensed, misleading consumers and selling products blatantly masquerading as popular name brand chocolates, candies, gummies, and other well-known snacks, the report said. And chances are good that these things will be the same for much of the foreseeable future, thanks to the governor's proposal remaining stalled in Albany, with the current focus on passing a state budget already 3 weeks late. But hey, at least they got plenty of high quality California bud to help pass the time while they wait. I'm Rico Lamitte, the dopest dad on the street. Interested in hearing what the rest of the team thinks about this one. Good old New York.
Oh man, I love this story. I love this story. And the fact that they actually came out with some realistic numbers, 5,000 sounds to me like a lot more of a realistic number. I always knew 12 or 15 was a little too on the low ball side of the fence.
Absolutely.
That's cop math.
Cop math?
That's cop math, right?
Oh, shit.
Cop math is just throw a number out there and watch it stick.
They're like, it's 7.
I saw 7 today.
It's 17. I meant 17. You cut me off.
Yeah. Oh man, bro, this is hilarious, bro. I mean, the fact that they think that they're going to be able to enforce on the illicit market in these types of ways is just totally ridiculous. And I totally agree with this lawyer.
Right. She's
Yeah.
like, what are you gonna do?
Yeah, exactly. Good luck. You're the one that opened the door.
So every time Kathy Hochul opens her mouth, she laughs. We're doing this to clamp down. Like, no, you're not. It's not gonna work. What
Yeah,
right, Gretchen? Madam Law and Order.
I love Law and Order. I think what this shows is truly a failure more of the social equity program and why you should not be putting these programs first, because they can't get their doors open. They complain about them not issuing enough licenses. They've issued over 100 licenses. Only 5 have been able to get their doors open.
But Gretchen, the same thing happened here in California, and social equity didn't open first.
Right. So why are we?
Trap always wins. It's undefeated. Like the internet.
That's not the point, Rico. The point is New York has put all their eggs into one basket with no money in it, hoping that this shit is going to work.
That's
if they want to go after this, then what they need to do is go after the landlords.
What happened to the money, though?
What money? They didn't raise the money.
Exactly.
It wasn't the New York money.
The $150 million fund.
I don't know why you keep saying exactly. I'm exactly right. Social equity sucked and didn't work. Yes, I'm exactly right.
$150 million fund that was supposed to be.
You know why there's no money in there, right? Because it's really socialist equity.
Anyway,
Redistribute.
I mean, Chris, you're former law enforcement. I mean, if you had to clean up New York, what would you do? What would be like the first couple steps that you would take as a law enforcement officer to actually clean up the streets of New York?
I think that's a good question, but a little bit unfair because would I have the authority, right? If I had to snap my fingers.
Let's just say you had the authority. Come on. No one else does.
I'm the first to admit that I don't know what I don't know. So the very first thing, got to answer the question. The very first thing I'm going to do is identify the real experts that understand the landscape and how to understand what our goals are, right? If we're going to do any kind of enforcement with law enforcement, they should have a goal in mind. So what is the goal, right? Where things are lacking, what is the goal here? And then how do we work backwards from that? That's my best answer.
So it sounds like to me, your strategy is going to be to flip 2 or 3 of these store owners to be like, how can we shut down all your competition?
You will get 3 licenses for every 1 license.
I don't think so. How many of these shops are actually planning on trying to go for a license? That's something I'm interested in knowing. And are any of these people in the process of creating a legal business in cannabis in New York?
I
doubt any of these are going after a license.
It was my understanding that if you operated one of these shops, that this would be a knock against you, and they would not allow you to go for a license.
How would
Unlike
they?
DC, where they are allowing.
I mean, that makes sense. That would definitely make sense.
I mean, but if they never clean this whole thing up, what's the value of their license in the first place?
Yeah,
Right.
going through all of that hard work, paying all of that money, doing all the construction, everything that you have to do to get a business up and going, just to be legally operating.
Mm-hmm.
I
Exactly.
mean, risk reward.
Sleepless
Risk
nights.
reward.
Like,
I'm
there's
going with the
so
risk.
much. There's so much that goes into starting one of these businesses. It's very difficult to be motivated to get your business going when there's a lot of other things going on in the streets that are counterbalancing what you're supposed to be doing.
Mm-hmm.
And they would just stop making money. You know, you can go the legal route and not really make much money at all, or you can stay trapping and just know that Kathy Hochul and company, they got another 2-3 years until they start to tame this thing. They start to. The trap is thriving, man. Just let it flow.
Yeah, I like it. Troy says here in the comments that California showed you how broke you can become by going for a license.
Mhm.
True, Troy, very true.
Yeah. Hey, you know, it's funny because there's another chat in the clubhouse, and Mary Jane Ottoman is saying political people trying to play tax warlords over a plant is the biggest issue. Social equity is really just a tool for corporate white men to lock in their profits while pretending to care about colored people. Exciting to see the tribal markets thrive past the bullshit in New York.
How dare you?
Oh, that's good, Rico. That is right there.
How dare you? That wasn't even my voice, but it was cute. I like it.
No, that's what's her face. That's the little Swedish
Greta
girl.
Thunberg.
Greta Thunberg.
So cute.
Oh man, that's good.
I don't know. I don't know if we got nothing else on that one. All I can say is, like, you know, good luck to the regulators over there. Like, we've been trying on the other end of that. We try to go the corporate side first, and the trap is still thriving out here in California. So I don't know. I don't know what the solution is other than
I think the regulators need to listen to more Warren G.
keep on smoking and keep on getting it from who you're getting it from. Like, if you believe it, if you believe you got good product.
Man,
Listen, all I know is that still today, fentanyl is a Schedule II drug. Killing people all the time.
And the Biden administration is leaning towards not the D schedule.
I mean, well, he's always leaning anyway because he can barely stand up.
Hey man, he's on the promethazine, bro. For the
We're gonna go to a commercial. We're gonna be right back. Oh yeah, you know what time it is? That's right. It's Tuesday over here at Green Street, and we got Smoky Vanilla with us in the building. So that's right. It is time to stretch and smoke. We just got done smoking. Now we're gonna stretch it out, and then we're gonna smoke again.
Let's go. I'm Smoky Vanilla with my background in kinesiology and bodywork massage and assisted stretching. You gotta come check it out, baby. Check me out on IG at Smoky Vanilla 1 Stretch and Smoke, Twitter Smoky Vanilla, Social Club Stretch and Smoke, or also on Sports Recovery by Dan and Jam.
If you want to feel as good as I look, then make sure that you get a stretch and smoke in with Smoky Vanilla.
Yeet!
You gotta get that commercial syndicated, bro.
I fucking love that commercial. I'm sorry, but I love it.
So terrible. I love it. If you ain't at Green Street wheeling and dealing, smoking on the best weed in the world and getting stretched out by Smoky Vanilla, ain't no telling where he might pop up next. It could be Detroit, the Hustlers, where they call him White Gucci, or it could be down in Mar-a-Lago. Who knows? Coming to the stage next, y'all know who it is. The industry's longest continuously operating retailer, Jason Beck.
Oh yeah. Good morning, everybody. Happy Monday. Now, first of all, I got to give a big trigger warning because my story is super sad and just goes to demonstrate the lack of tolerance towards cannabis across the globe. And so there's my trigger warning for the story. But in Singapore, That's right, Singapore. They plan to execute a man over 1 kilogram of cannabis. That would be 2.2 pounds for anyone that can't do basic math. A Singaporean man is scheduled to be hanged next week for conspiring to smuggle 1 kilogram of cannabis in the city-state's first execution in 6 months, right groups have said. Tan Garagio Sapuia, 46, will be executed on Wednesday, according to a notice from the Singapore prison service that was received by his family and posted on social media by rights advocates. Amnesty International condemned the decision, calling it extremely cruel. And in a quote, if carried out, this execution would be in violation of international law and in stubborn defiance of continued outcry over Singapore's use of the death penalty, an Amnesty spokesperson said. In many parts of the world, including in Thailand, cannabis has been decriminalized, with authorities abandoning prison sentences, and rights groups have been mounting pressure on Singapore to abolish capital punishment. The city-state has some of the world's toughest laws against the use and sale of narcotics, saying that the death penalty remains an effective deterrent against trafficking. Tan Garridu was convicted in 2017 of abetting and engaging in a conspiracy to traffic 1.0179 kilograms of cannabis, twice the minimum volume that merits the death sentence. He was sentenced to death in 2018, and the Singaporean Court of Appeal upheld the decision. Prosecutors said he owned 2 mobile phone numbers used as contacts. In a quote, what is especially troubling is that Tangaroo never actually handled the drugs, human rights advocate Kristen Hahn said. He was also questioned by police without legal counsel and said that he was denied a Tamil interpreter. Singaporean High Court Judge Hu Shiyu Ping said that anyone who abates the commission of a crime under the law shall be guilty of that offense and liable to the same punishment. Hu said that the charge against the accused had been proved beyond a reasonable doubt, and Singapore resumed execution by hanging in March of last year after a hiatus of more than 2 years. 11 executions were carried out last year, all for drug offenses, and among those hanged was Nanagrian Duramadu, whose execution sparked a global outcry, including from the UN and British billionaire Richard Branson, because he was deemed to have a mental disability. The UN says that the death penalty has not proven to be an effective deterrent globally and is incompatible with international human rights laws, which only permits capital punishment for the most serious crimes. Well, like I said, this is a very, very sad story. I want to hear what you guys have to say. This is Jason Beck reporting for High at 9 News. What do y'all think about this?
It's sad, man.
This is awful. First of all, obviously nobody should be put to death over this plant. But at the same time, I'm really curious. It's pretty clear to me that there's intent to sell here. At least it seems that way, especially the 2 cell phones and all of that.
Hold on a second. I have 2 cell phones.
Right.
And you sell weed.
Right, Jason. Right.
Just saying.
She rests her case. There you go.
I had a cell phone store.
Right.
How do you know that they both even worked?
Listen.
One of them just
We all know what was going on here. It's pretty obvious. He definitely doesn't deserve to go to death for this, but at the same time, you know what you're doing, right? And I hope that he had some serious success prior to this and made a lot of fucking money and was selling those pounds for like 20 grand a pop. I hope.
Yeah.
Jesus.
I don't know. This guy,
You know, there's a hint in this story in him being denied a Tamil interpreter. There's a Tamil separatist movement. It's a smaller indigenous group that's trying to have their own separate state. And so there's a good chance that this guy was probably selling some dope in order to fund the resistance, because the Tamils have been brutalized and oppressed by the folks that control mainland Singapore for generations. Same thing's happening in Sri Lanka. There's a lot of battles in these islands between native indigenous tribes and the larger, I believe they're Malaysian and almost like ethnic Chinese originally folks who were coming in and doing their own version of colonizing these islands. You see the same thing in Indonesia as well.
Yeah, I mean, Indonesia has similar criminal penalties, right?
Well, it does, and there's also, you see, like islands like Bali. Originally, all of Indonesia was Hindu, and so you see islands like Bali that are very gentle, very tolerant. They still aren't so great with the weed, but they're being controlled by Islamic Sharia law, and so you have these folks from other islands coming in and instituting penalties of cutting off people's hands and death and all kinds of crazy stuff for this really peaceful population that wants nothing to do with that. The only good news in that particular case is there's some party islands off of Bali that are controlled by the minority Muslim population, and all their kids have been making so much money selling mushroom smoothies to tourists that they're all walking away from Islam. And no offense really to any religion, but like it's time to evolve past that shit.
Yeah. It's just sad, man. It's
very sad. I'll tell you what, though. I mean, they didn't even catch this guy with any weed, okay? Because it clearly states that he's being charged with conspiracy to sell. Okay, so that means that they didn't catch him with any drugs. They caught him with 2 cell phones, and they're trying to give him this guy the death penalty. That to me seems a little cray-cray.
No, not a little. It's incredibly cray-cray. This is unreasonable. I mean, this is a plant that's never killed anyone. Now someone's about to be killed.
Hold on, he didn't even get caught with any of it.
That's
my point.
Yeah, I got to go with MSG on this one, Saint Germain. Like, there's probably a much bigger story behind what's going on with this whole situation. It's unfortunate that this guy is in the situation that he is, but damn, man.
I don't think there's a bigger situation whatsoever. I agree with Manndie. For you guys to think he's running some political movement and that's why he's getting effed over. I mean, these are the people who caned a kid for some vandalism years ago. I mean, you don't mess around in these countries. They're the ones who have these ridiculous laws. It's what's going to happen to you.
I'm disappointed by people who just completely dismiss socio-political and economic realities, Gretchen.
I'm not dismissing that.
No, you did. You actually began your comment by completely. You began your comment by completely dismissing what I said. You did. You literally rewind the tape, Adam. We need an instant replay feature on here because I'm just saying, Gretchen, I love you. You're a good-hearted person, but you began your comment by completely dismissing everything I said. The Tamil Indigenous movement is a real socio-political movement, and it's quite likely that this movement, like many revolutionary movements, is using the drug game to fund their movement. Same thing the CIA does, same thing the MI5 does.
Absolutely.
It's a worldwide thing. It's a trend. And for us to just dismiss it and not talk about it, and yes, Singapore has incredibly harsh laws and realities, but just to dismiss things and take them at the very surface of their veneer really is going to yield no fruit for us as a species. And I'm not saying that I'm not excusing what the gentleman did. I'm not excusing what the gentleman did. I'm saying there's a greater story behind it.
I'm not dismissing the movement. I'm dismissing the idea that perhaps he is not just a drug dealer. All of a sudden, he's linked to this group, which you have no proof that he's linked to this group. That's what I am saying.
I was making the supposition, and I said that there is a hint in the fact that they did not allow him a Tamil interpreter. The reason for them to not allow him a Tamil interpreter is because there is an indigenous revolution and a war going on between the mainstream Singaporean people and the Tamil people. And all I was saying is there's a hint there. And I'm not saying the guy deserves it. I'm not saying he doesn't deserve it. I was just trying to speak to a bit of a greater reality for other people to look into, and that's it.
The big picture.
If I'm being rude, I'm sorry. I love you guys.
Happy
Monday.
You're not being rude. And all I'm suggesting, perhaps, is that it's not some bigger conspiracy theory. Maybe the guy is just a drug dealer. That's what I'm
suggesting. It's not a conspiracy. There's literally an indigenous revolution, and they denied the guy an interpreter who speaks his language, and they're sentencing him to the death penalty.
Maybe because they have a fucked up judicial system. Maybe
I agree with that as well.
They don't have the greatest legal system, and that's why he didn't get his interpreter. To think that it's because he is some part of this big political movement, I think there needs to be a little bit more behind that.
I kindly suggest you do about 15 to 20 minutes of Googling on the situation in Sri Lanka and Singapore with the Tamil people.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Next story, you guys. Happy Monday.
Here we go. Here we go. And on that note, we're going to go on over to Gretchen Gailey. She's the feisty redhead conservative that loves to tell pot-loving libs all about themselves and let them know that they are just nothing more than just political deniers. That's right. It is the founder of Panoptic Strategies, Gretchen Gailey.
Good morning. My headline comes from Marijuana Moment. Delaware governor will allow marijuana legalization and sales bill to become law. The governor of Delaware says that he will allow a pair of bills to legalize marijuana possession and establish a regulated adult use market become law without his signature. Advocates were concerned that Governor John Carney would veto the proposals like he did in the last session, but in a welcome surprise to supporters, he said on Friday that he would let HB 1 and HB 2 go into effect, albeit without his active support. That means Delaware, which is nicknamed the first state, will become the 22nd state in the U.S. to legalize adult use cannabis. And here is what those laws would effectively do. House Bill 1. A state statute would be revised to legalize the possession, use, sharing, and purchasing of up to 1 ounce of cannabis for adults 21 and older. To avoid abuses of the gifting provision, the bill stipulates that adult sharing would not include giving away cannabis contemporaneously with another reciprocal transaction between the same parties, such as an exchange of a non-marijuana item. Public consumption and growing cannabis would remain prohibited. People under 21 who engage in such activity would be subject to civil penalty of up to $100 for their first offense, and police could use discretion and issue a citation in lieu of that fine. For House Bill 2, the regulatory bill, the legislation would provide a basic framework to create a regulated system of cannabis commerce for adults in the states. The Division of Alcohol and Tobacco Enforcement would be responsible for regulating the market through a new Office of Marijuana Control Commissioner. For the first 16 months of implementation, regulators could approve up to 30 cannabis retail licenses. Applicants who showed that they'd provide a living wage, health insurance coverage, sick and paid leave, and focus on diversity in hiring would be prioritized in the licensing scoring process. 7% of marijuana business fee revenues would go to a justice reinvestment fund that supports restorative justice, workforce development, technical assistance for economically disadvantaged people, and more. And that fund would also go towards creating or developing technology to assist within the restoration of civil rights and expungement of criminal records. However, the legislation itself doesn't provide for automatic expungements. In addition to conventional retail, cultivator, and manufacturer and laboratory licenses, the bill would additionally provide for social equity and micro business licenses reserved for applicants with a majority ownership by Delaware residents. Localities would be able to prohibit marijuana businesses from operating in their area through the ordinance, and adult use marijuana sales would be subject to a 15% sales tax. Medical cannabis products will not be taxed. This is how you play politics. This is a man who does not care for legalization, allowing it to go through because he sees the will of the voters. But when they turn on him on election day, he can say, I didn't vote for it, or I did not sign it into law. And that's how this man is riding the fence. And I don't mind him riding the fence since legalization has come through for Delaware. This is Gretchen for High at 9 News.
I think this is a great step for destigmatization. And I love you, Gretchen.
I love you too, St. Germain.
I mean, the Delaware, it sounds like the governor's going to actually do what people want. So shout out to them.
What the hey? Well, and also, they did have the votes to override his veto. And
That's
no
fine.
governor likes to be vetoed.
Yeah, no governor likes to be vetoed. I'm pretty sure Joe Biden was probably lobbying against this happening, so they had to have the votes in order to override the governor's veto power.
Delaware Joe.
Mm-hmm. Deli style, right? Deli style.
Deli style. Deli style businesses. LLC City.
Mm-hmm.
I am not a fan, though, that they are not allowing home grow.
Word to that. Word to that.
I mean, yes, this is a good first step, but there are a lot of restrictions to this.
I mean, in all honesty, how many homes are really in Delaware in the first place?
Like 3. However,
How
they
many
might like to grow.
There's more Delaware LLCs than there are people in the
Yeah.
Salt
Yeah, but
State.
nobody actually has their business there.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's all thanks to Joe Biden. Joe Biden, when he was a senator, wrote all of those laws. He actually was the one who allowed credit card companies to reside in Delaware and charge what were previously known as usurious interest rates. He allowed them to charge criminal interest rates. That's one of the main ways he actually rose to power.
they can technically have 300% interest in not getting
300.
Yes.
Wait, say that again.
Yes. They can technically have 300% interest on credit card rates out of Delaware.
Oh my God.
And you can't say shit about it thanks to Joe Biden.
I mean, it is Joe Biden's America.
Whose America is it?
Joe Biden.
Yeah.
Joe Biden. Joe Biden. Joe Biden.
Oh boy.
Good old Smokey Joe.
Mm-hmm.
Woo.
Gretchen, once he signs this, how long until there's actually like some actual operation going down on the ground out there?
That's the whole point. He didn't sign it.
Well, he's going to though.
No, that's the whole point. If he did not sign it, and if the governor does not sign the legislation, then it automatically becomes law. So the man gets to way to say, I didn't sign it, and when it's a shit show.
Oh, he has.
And when it works out, then he can say, I didn't stand in the way. That's what he's doing.
So it's a hedge.
That makes sense. That
And
makes
I
sense.
don't, and I
Political
truly don't
move
know
101,
anything
right?
of when this is going to happen. Yes, I love it.
That's what you call it.
This
That's what
is
you
how
call
you
a
do politics,
straddle.
people. Pay attention.
How long until we can go and buy some weed in Delaware, Gretchen? How long until we're
I
actually
don't
going to be able
freaking
to
know. If you're
You can buy
a
weed
medical
now.
patient, you can get it now. Yeah.
How many municipalities are going to opt out?
I don't know.
Yes,
It
you're
should be interesting. It should be interesting to see how many opt out.
Well, I mean,
But again, there's like 3. So that's the problem. You got Maryland 5 seconds away.
Mhm.
You can easily go to Pennsylvania. Well, Pennsylvania doesn't have adult use. But Maryland does. I mean, so if they want this to thrive at all, they're gonna use it. They're gonna have it. And plus, they have the lovely Rehoboth area. They do have the beach for you non-West Coasters who don't understand our geography.
They have a
So
beach.
it does have a big tourism. Tourism is a big part of Delaware's economy. So they might care to have it open. We'll see.
LLCs are the 90% of their state revenue.
What are you going to say on this, Chris?
Well, I'm just curious. Like I said, I'm curious to know how many municipalities are going to opt out. How many will want to opt in, and will some of them change their mind, like the city in my article coming up?
Oh, I see what you did there, Chris.
Yeah.
There.
I like that segue.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're going to be right back.
Mm-hmm.
Keeping up to date on the evolving policies of relevant state, local, and federal governments is key to success. When the future of your business is at stake, you need representation as dedicated as you are. With a maze of laws and regulations surrounding cannabis, hemp, and psychedelics, knowing where to begin can be a challenge. Good Thing to Law offices of Omar Figueroa features a skilled, highly focused team ready to guide you through it all. They're accepting new clients in California and New York. So make sure you check them out at info@omarfigueroa.com.
All right, stop whatever you're doing and make sure you go and you hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. Make sure you also, too, are heading over to our website, sign up for our newsletter. And please keep in mind, when you do sign up for our newsletter, you are going to get another email to confirm that. And oftentimes it will go into your spam or junk box, and make sure that you go and check there. But it'll say from High at 9 News and ask you to confirm. And so just make sure you go and do that, and have a great Monday, everybody. Roll the next commercial out.
Control Tower from Highly Educated has perfected the dab. Utilizing the concept of thin film evaporation, you can waste none of it and taste all of it. The micro texture of the SE pillar increases nucleation at elevated temperatures. And with the tower propelling at 2,600 RPMs, it's certainly the most efficient dab experience to date. The Control Tower from Highly Educated.
Oh, yes. Coming up next. That's right. It is the Count of St. Germain. That's right. It is the immortal man himself that has walked the planet for thousands upon thousands of years, watching all the historical evolutions right before his very eyes. That's why he's so advanced in all this historical information, is because he actually lived through it all. And so it's just like muscle memory. That's right. It is the immortal Count himself, Mathieu St. Germain.
Hi, everybody. Happy Monday. Thank you in advance for having patience with me. I just did a whirlwind of hero doses of psychedelics for my friend's level 5 birthday party in the woods. Still integrating back to human form and doing these words. So my story is a pretty exciting one, though. The Canadian government is appropriating $2.3 million in support for Indigenous cannabis entrepreneurs in British Columbia. More opportunities for Indigenous cannabis entrepreneurs in BC will soon be made available, according to the province. The government announced Saturday that it has allocated nearly $2.3 million to be added to the BC Indigenous Cannabis Business Fund. The goal is to increase Indigenous participation within BC's cannabis industry. I commend the province for enhancing its support of First Nations cannabis-related economic development through the ICBF, said Regional Chief Terry Teague with the BC Assembly of First Nations. The fund is one example of how the BC Assembly of First Nations advocates and works collaboratively together to advance First Nations rights and interests in alignment with the United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples. The funding announcement comes days after the First Nations Leadership Council called for the provincial and federal governments to change cannabis legalities to align with the United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples and to support First Nations' fulsome participation in the cannabis economy. According to the province, the one-time fund will go towards supporting business planning and advisory services and will help First Nations cover the costs of licensing and permits. It will also serve as capital funds to support the launch or expansion of businesses. The funds will be provided through the New Relationship Trust, which is responsible for administering ICBF. The cannabis sector can be a multifaceted decision for First Nations communities and entrepreneurs, said Walter Schneider, New Relationship Trust CEO. The additional funding means unlocking more opportunities for First Nations seeking to advance their own path toward economic development in the regulated cannabis industry. My thought on this is any way we can give back to the folks who we stole everything from is a step in the right direction. This is Mathieu St. Germain for the High at 9 News. I'm eager to hear the discussion on this one. Take it away, y'all.
I mean, this is Canadian weed that we're talking about, Matthew. So just because it's grown by Indigenous people doesn't mean it's going to make Canadian weed any better than the trash that it already is.
You can feel better about it. Feel better about buying it from them.
There was a time when Canadian weed was really good.
I mean, yeah, when there was only Bammer weed.
I'm curious to see what Rico, the king of follow the money. What do you think about this, man?
It is interesting to see all of the, the little droplets of money going to the Indigenous people in Canada after they were outed. The Catholic Church was outed for the atrocities that they were doing to the Indigenous peoples up there. Back pre-COVID, I was commissioned to do a couple of speaking engagements in Canada, and it's pretty weird to see just the industry overall. We talk about like social equity and everything down here and how the war on drugs really screwed up Black and brown communities. And up there, they were like really searching. It was like ultra liberal government, like searching for something to do and some kind of money to give out. And they have a lot of broken promises for the Indigenous communities up there. And I hope like this little bit of money, this little bit of attention that they're getting on a international stage is actually helping the people. I don't know if there's any way to check or to balance any of those initiatives, but they're owed a lot more than what they're getting. And I just hope that they're fruitful, and I hope that's sustainable too.
Absolutely.
I mean, oh man, how are they actually going to get this money, Matthew?
The article didn't go into detail about how the money was going to be apportioned. It just said that it had been approved.
Tribes for who gets what and whatnot. I'm
totally.
Sure it's going to be a big old powwow about that.
I mean, it could be similar to how grant dollars are distributed here to cannabis operators. Every municipality does it differently. There's tough processes to go through. There's easier.
So what you're saying, it's all going to be siphoned off by other political organization.
No. I just mean, in some municipalities, grant dollars to cannabis operators are directly released to them, but they have to go through a whole RFP process, which is time consuming and expensive in time. So, I'm curious to see how they're actually going to distribute this dough.
Yeah, very much so. True. We shall see. Follow. It's going to come from the government. We'll see if all of that goes out to them. I think they have a better chance of actually getting the full amount than anybody would if they got that same call here in America.
Yeah, but they're only getting Canadian dollars, not like real dollars.
You know what? This actually sounds like a form of reparations.
Oh boy. Oh my goodness.
I appreciate seeing the positive movement, right? And to me, this represents something that I've been attempting to communicate. Again, forgive me, the words are coming slow to me. I'm still in level 10 here. We can't really put anything back in the box, right? If anybody's ever bought one of those Costco mattresses, you get them out of the box and you're never getting that thing back, dude. It just expands too big. And unfortunately, with history, it's kind of the same thing. Like, there's a lot of things that have been done that we can't just pack back up and put into the box. But what if every business that was profitable in America realized part of their profit was from the land that they had most likely inherited somehow illegally from someone else, and they gave 1% of their profit to the local Native American community to be used for medicine and education? I think that at that point, we can start steering the boat towards something that looks like right relations with the community who has allowed us to live and thrive on this land. We can do the same thing with reparations for Black folks as well.
Yes.
Oh boy, here we go. Here we go with reparations again.
Better late than never. Yeah, like yes. I'm gonna keep on going with that reparations because it's owed.
I don't expect nothing different from you.
I mean,
we
can sit and think about.
Are you going to
think about 400 years of wealth created by African slaves for white landowners? That's just the truth. 400 years of wealth. Like, those plantation houses didn't come from nowhere. You can't wear a white linen suit and get out in the fields and work in the South because you'll stain your suit, right? Those guys weren't working. So let's just look at the truth, man. 400 years of enrichment of another class of people. Give 1% of your I'm not saying give 1% of your business. Give 1% of your profits back. If you're not profitable, don't give shit.
Gretchen,
I mean,
if you're
stuff,
owed money, are you going to go and collect it? If it's $100 bet, are you going to keep on telling that person they owe you money?
I think I do that every day with Jason Beck. What are you talking about? Every day, I'm like, Jason Beck,
my case for reparations, what communities are owed by wrongs done to them over centuries.
Yeah, and this is going to be seen as a negative comment on my part. You keep saying what they were owed. They were never promised anything.
Yes, we were. Whoa, 40 acres of mule?
All right, fine.
You can be owed without being promised as well. Like, if someone stole my watch, I'd be owed my watch back from them. Rather with somebody promised
your watch stolen. You're not getting that back. You're not owed that.
Well, I guess we just have a definition.
All I'm going to say here when it comes to this argument is if you want to see real change for these communities, we need to stop doing it by skin color. We need to start doing it by their economic standing. That is what matters. If you keep making it about race, then you're going to get shut down by the courts. Do you want something that works, or do you want to stand on your soapbox? I'm telling you a pathway that is going to work and get you money.
If there was equitable distribution of force on certain communities, on regulating regulations in certain communities, then we wouldn't be talking about race not mattering. Race does matter in America.
Okay.
Rico, may I ask you a question?
I'm telling you how to get money.
Yeah.
Rico, may I ask you a question respectfully?
Yeah.
Are you personally a descendant of slaves?
Yes, I am. Yes.
Word. I am. So I'm going to listen to you and what you have to say about this, because it was your family that was wronged and not folks that came, on the white side of things who have never experienced this issue.
Oh yeah, and on that we're going to go to a commercial. We're going to be right back.
Happy Monday, you guys.
Yeah.
How's it going, guys? Saman Razani coming to you from Green Street here with Jason Beck, smoking on the best weed in the world. Did you know that we have an audio-only version of our podcast available on Apple, Google, Amazon, iHeartRadio, and Spotify? Tune in now and check it out.
I love our team.
Mm-hmm.
All around.
I'm probably fired after the show, but I love all you guys.
Stop it.
You are not fired.
Fired? You mean fired up? But up next, he's a former NorCal cop who decided cherries and berries were no match for remedies to the Sunday scaries. This fellow dope dad's now a security consultant at CC Security Solutions on a mission to improve your chances of survival. Y'all know who it is. Chris Eggers.
Rico, always great to be introed by another dope dad. Appreciate it. Happy Monday, everybody. My article today comes out of the San Diego Union Tribune, and the headline reads, Oceanside to consider allowing in-store cannabis sales. Delivery-only businesses unable to compete with neighboring Vista's booming in-store sales, city officials say. So Oceanside could allow its first in-store cannabis sales under a proposal discussed last week by the city council. City council members asked city staffers to prepare options for making 2 licenses available for on-site retail stores and to prioritize businesses that already have other cannabis-related operations in the city. Oceanside City Council adopted an ordinance in 2018 to allow medical marijuana businesses only in specific industrial and agricultural zones. The ordinance was later amended to add recreational uses and to include 2 retail delivery licenses, but not on-site sales. Meanwhile, neighboring Vista to the east allows in-store sales. Vista has already collected over $18 million in sales revenue from about a dozen outlets since 2020, according to information provided to the Oceanside City staffers by Vista's finance director. Oceanside City council members said that the city is missing out on significant revenue source. We already have it permitted for delivery, Oceanside City Council member Eric Joyce said. We have a policy that doesn't seem to make sense. If we're going to do it, let's take advantage of it and put the money back into our children. There's some opposition, though. I'm going to read a couple quotes here. Susan Hume of cleanearthforkids.org said, quote, "I am so livid, it is hard to speak. This is going to hurt our kids," she said. The facts are clear. Anyone can Google this. So maybe somebody's Googling it right now. Other opponents included representatives of the North Coast Prevention Coalition. And the article says that several women whose remarks in Spanish were translated to English, all of whom said the children were their greatest concern. Supporters included several Oceanside residents and employees of MedLeaf Delivery, which opened in 2020 and have a 4,800 square foot building on, they just referenced the road here. This can be done safely and with compliance. MedLeaf's general manager, Karen Tomlinson, said, "We support a merit-based process to award licenses here in Oceanside. I don't support a lottery." Vista used a lottery to award licenses. Tomlinson and other MedLeaf employees have said that previous public meetings that it is difficult for their Oceanside business to compete with nearby Vista outlets that allow in-store sales. So back to my comment about to follow up on Gretchen's article, how many cities will opt in, how many cities will opt out. Here we have, Oceanside that's going to apparently opt into retail sales. And sounds like maybe they regretted not doing it originally, given their neighboring city is generating a ton of revenue dollars. So curious to see what you guys have to think about this. Thanks for letting me contribute on this Monday morning. Happy Monday. I hope everyone has a great week. My name is Chris Eggers.
Yeah, I mean, they're just following San Diego's delayed lead here. Oceanside's a lot of retired military up there as well. So, I mean, conservative approach is it's a slow walk, right?
Mm-hmm.
Did it mention if the city was going to charge a importation tax?
They didn't talk about any taxes, but they did say originally they wanted 4 stores and they got voted down to 2. But nothing about taxes in this article.
Because San Diego is the only county in the state that charges cannabis brands a tax to bring their goods to San Diego to sell.
Yeah, San Diego is.
Can you explain that?
So like if you want to sell a cannabis product in San Diego County that is not produced in San Diego County, then you have to pay a tax in order to the county of San Diego in order to have your product sold there.
Yeah.
I see Mandy shaking her head. What do you have to say?
I was just acknowledging that tax and what a pain in the ass it is to just do any kind of business really in San Diego. As far as cannabis, I mean, cultivation is still even allowed, right? There's so many things that they didn't allow. And also going back to what the actual headline is here with regard to opening up the retail, the storefronts, yes, I think that they should exist. Every city should have access for these sorts of things, but I wouldn't sweat too much of it because at the end of the day, people are really using delivery a lot more. We've just come out of COVID. We all got used to having everything brought to our front door. So retail storefronts are really just like regular retail in any other industry. They're becoming a little bit dinosaur-like.
You heard it here first. Manndie Tingler said, brick and mortar retail is dead.
Dead.
Well, Mandy, while I agree with you that brick and mortar might not be working out for some folks like Bed Bath & Beyond, isn't this necessary for this industry? All these places want brick and mortar dispensaries.
Accessibility is what really matters, whether it's a storefront, delivery service, or you're shipping it in the mail. Like, accessibility is what ultimately matters. People need to be able to access this plant.
Yeah.
Period.
There's not enough profit currently in
I'm
California
saying, a
cannabis to
business
pay
model-
$15,000 a month rent. So I get what you're saying, Mandy.
Yeah, and from a business model and the way that the entire nation has now become incredibly comfortable with having things brought to their front door, delivery just makes so much more sense. I mean, even in the beginning of COVID, we saw this massive increase in sales of delivery services. We saw it all around the industry, but a huge spike. And, you know, my delivery service in Sacramento hasn't really seen much change since then. It hasn't really been something that's, you know, sunk the business all of a sudden because COVID's over. I mean, our customer base has continued on with us. And the storefronts are, I'm regularly hearing that the storefronts are seeing less foot traffic.
It's less of an experience nowadays, right? Like the novelty is beginning to wear off and people want more and more efficiency, more convenience. Yep.
I don't
In
know.
general,
I'm not buying all this.
I mean, yours is different, Jason, because people want to go in there and see you. They want to be a part of history and they want to go there. And even when you're not there, they want to go there and you just like, you know, just like immense, like saturate themselves in the aura that was Jason Beck was here. You know what I'm saying?
They want to shake the hand that shook the hand of Jason Beck.
Yes.
Yeah, stores have to exist, but
I high-fived that hand once.
Good, right? Customers need a place where they can walk in a door, talk to a person, learn about a product, right? The storefronts need to exist. But I'm just saying, once customers become really educated, once they have a set established group of products that they know they want, I mean, I love an auto ship button to click on Amazon. I do.
I think in general, you know, this isn't my thought. This is retail experts, you know, during COVID were saying that, hey, you know, one of the things that COVID's going to do, and not just cannabis specific, but retail generally, what COVID's going to do is force the retail industry to really step up their game and have an experience that people really want to go and seek out, you know, given all of everyone's points about our need and desire to have things just delivered to us and the you know, convenience of that. And I agree. I think in general, and cannabis is not excluded to this, that retail experiences are going to need to step up in order to get people out of the house to go get a product, whatever that product is, that they could otherwise just get delivered to their home.
Yep. Let's keep this party moving.
Yeah.
Jason.
Let's roll. All right. Coming up next. That's right. It is Manndie Tingler. She loves to show the world how a cannabis executive lifestyle, motherhood, and Emerald Cup judging of edibles, which I think is probably the hardest job in the world, all go hand in hand. That's right. Coming up next is none other than the Manndie Tingler.
Thank you. Now, Jason, what the hardest job in the world to do is judge Emerald Cup edibles and parent 2 teenagers by yourself. That is the hardest job. But today, my headline comes to us from MJ Biz Daily, and it's short but not so sweet for our friends over at Dutchie. Their 420 was a bit of a crash instead of celebration. Our headline reads, Cannabis sales software provider Dutchie goes down nationwide on 420. Technology platform Dutchie, which provides point-of-sale hardware for cannabis retailers across the United States, reported interruptions and outages on Thursday, the unofficial marijuana holiday 420, and one of the biggest sales days of the year in the industry. As of 1 p.m. Eastern Time Thursday, the Oregon-based company reported it was working with our infrastructure provider for a resolution. At 2:22 p.m., Dutchie posted a status update that said, this incident has been resolved. Dutchie has not responded to MJ Biz Daily's request for comment about the POS interruption outages across the United States. In initially reporting the outages, the company said both timeouts with multiple endpoints were related to metric, as well as latency and errors on the e-commerce. At 2:05 p.m., Dutchie reported that the metric timeout errors had been resolved, that Florida-based metric is is the track and trace system most states require legal marijuana businesses to use. According to the company's website, Dutchie processes more than 14 billion of annual cannabis sales at more than 6,000 retailers. The company also reported elevated error rates on Tuesday and Wednesday, according to its status page. Now, guys, I don't know about you, but on Cannabis Christmas, the last thing that you need is your POS system to give you any kind of hiccups. And I'm really interested to see how this interrupted anybody's 420. This is Manndie at High at 9.
Yeah, this is a mess. Like it was definitely a mess. A bunch of my clients were complaining about it, and it's real tough. I know that they were touting. I don't know how legal it was or what, given New York's state of being right now, but they were touting as Dutchie as being the go-to partner for the state of New York for POS services. I don't know if this changes the conversation at all with them with a big drop like that on Cannabis Christmas, but we shall see. We'll see how many people are switching over POSs.
You know what I really wonder, even
What's
more
that?
than that, Rico? I wonder if this was a form of sabotage because they just had that whole corporate shakeup, and I wonder if this was just something that some vengeful former owner or employee or something did to spite the company.
It'll be unfortunate. It'll be unfortunate if it is, because it's gonna be easy to track them down.
I'm sure whatever they did is probably just something you could just boop.
Regardless of the reason, I mean, that was obviously net negative, right? But the net positive out of this is the understanding and the conversation for the cannabis industry, which really lacks SLAs and service level agreements generally. People enter to engagements with various vendors, whether it's POS, security, odor control, all types of vendors that enter this space, and very few, I would say, I've come across zero that have legitimate SLAs in place to address underperformance or non-performance. And I think that this could be, or should be taken seriously and to spark that conversation, because that's an area of the industry I think that we still have a long way to go.
Yep.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And 420 is like the most nightmarish day for something like this to happen. I mean, the only other day that would probably be worse would be just maybe a couple of days leading up to Thanksgiving.
Or even New Year's Eve.
Dude, I don't know. Last year, my delivery service, our text messaging system went down and we couldn't send a blast out to our entire customer base. And I thought that was bad. And then I read this article. That's harsh.
Jason, you remember the first day of real legalization here in California? Like how many people's like POS is just crashed?
Bro,
they could not handle the volume.
Yes, but also too the a lot of people's staff weren't ready either. Oh, look there's Nicole Buffon. What's up?
Hey,
Whoa.
Yeah. How y'all doing today?
Nicole.
Sorry
Purple,
to interrupt the story.
The plants of purple.
Hey guys.
Mm-hmm. The purple-haired princess herself, Nicole Buffon, joined us.
She's a queen, Jason. She's a queen.
Oh, okay, queen. Purple-haired queen. Purple-haired princess sounds better though.
But yeah, like everybody crashed that first day, and then they were saying like, "Oh, this is why we weren't supposed to have technology and weed anyway. It's not reliable."
Mm-hmm.
But you need to do that, man. You need to step into the present. This is like technology is not the future; it's the present, and they need to get their act together. Like I hope that it wasn't something like internal sabotage or anything like that. Because you're hurting a lot more people than you're helping when you do stuff like that. But we don't know the whole story, so we'll see.
We shall see. We shall see. I mean, I still think that this was total sabotage. I think that this was a total setup, and they did it. They probably even had it programmed just to go off at 420 or something like that, just to be funny and spiteful.
God, that's pretty spiteful.
Petty.
If somebody out there did do this, they need to do some serious meditation and self-reflection.
I'm willing to bet that is 100% what happened. That this All right, because it didn't happen any other time. I understand it's a high level thing, but like if you want to screw over a cannabis technology company, you do that on 420.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know,
Absolutely.
It could be like a hacker flex. You know what I'm saying? Like that, like old boy
Absolutely.
who was on Discord pushing out the U.S. Secrets and everything. Like maybe it was just a flex. Like somebody out there, watch this.
exactly. It's like someone on their way out, like, all right, cool, fuck you guys, whatever, whoopty whoopty whoop. Oh, excuse me, sorry. Then
Yeah, all the more reason why SLAs need to be in place for folks like, Manndie, with your text messaging system. You need to have the ability, and mechanisms in place to be able to address that non-performance or underperformance. Now, sometimes things going down, are a result of a third-party integration or something that has nothing to do with anything you touch. But still, service level agreements and uptime, that's super common in the tech industry, and I think is absolutely needed here in the cannabis industry as well, to some degree.
Yeah,
very much so.
So it is a great story, great coverage of that too, Manndie. And I hope that everybody affected is able to reconcile everything. And you don't get in trouble from compliance because you're not in compliant. Right? So right now, you are not compliant as of Friday. So I hope everything's reconciled and Dutchie just takes that one on the chin and we just be back to business today. Anyways, thank you all out there for tuning in with us for yet another episode of High 9 News. You can always catch us weekdays, 9 a.m. Pacific and high noon on the East Coast. Big shout out to our super fans showing love, support, and affection. Our live audience members and online supporters across platforms tuning in and giving us feedback on the daily headlines. Our vetted correspondent team tuning in from all over, bringing us much needed variety of perspective and your respected opinions to the conversation. To our production team, Cloud Media Partners, House of Fuego, to all of our sponsors, and to the wonderful Jaja Simone holding things down for us over in Clubhouse, keeping our AV struggles to a minimum. And of course, the haters. There's always two sides to every coin, and we appreciate the effort y'all put in daily just to hop on the chat and talk your shit. It's dedication. And always, Cannabis Sativa L, the reason that the High at 9 News team shows up and reads these headlines every single day. We love you, Mary Mama. It's Monday, April 24th, 2023. The show is over and you've been blessed with today's top industry headlines. Hope it's enough for you to put in your pipe and smoke at least until tomorrow. Y'all know who it is. Rico Lamitte, the dopest dad on the street, signing off. And I'd like to give Manndie Tingler. You got the outro today. What you got?
Hey guys, it's Monday. Make strong week. Only 4 more days till Friday.
There it is. Take us out, Adam.